my name is Sarah Metz. I'm a clinical psychologist and the director for the Division of Trauma Recovery Services at UCSF. I'm so glad that you found your way to this video. Today, my goal is to talk to you about our emotions during this time of COVID and a tool called grounding that you can use to help turn down the volume on some of your emotions. I'll be pulling from my experience using an approach called Skills Training in Affective and Interpersonal Regulation, which was created by Dr. Mary Lynn Koitra, and also Seeking Safety, which was created by Dr. Lisa Najavitz. First, I just want to acknowledge how crazy things are right now. These are unprecedented times, an experience that our emotions would have no way to prepare for, as we've likely never been through a pandemic of this magnitude before. So now, we're all stuck, trying to figure out some pretty intense emotions, all while navigating the shelter in place. Our routines have all been turned upside down. You might be worried about getting sick, loved ones getting sick, fears of getting others sick, or perhaps you have a loved one that is ill. And this is all on top of all the other life stressors that you had going on before COVID. Our emotions are complicated, especially during times of trauma. And right now, we're all living in a time of trauma. Everybody copes differently and has different emotional reactions to trauma. Some people might have really big emotions and a lot of them all at once, while others might not feel many emotions at all or have the experience of feeling numb. What's important to know is that there's no right or wrong way to feel. Remember, this is likely the first time in your life that you're having to go through something like this. And because we have no roadmap for how to navigate this new scary experience, I want to introduce a way to think about your emotions that is practiced in STARE. For me, thinking about my emotions in this way has really helped me to better manage my emotions and to take care of myself. Our emotions, you consider them like messengers. They give us really important information and they serve a purpose. They can show up in many ways. For some of us, they show up in our thinking, by way of thoughts, images, or maybe even colors. For others, our emotions show up in our body through physical sensations, muscle tension, or maybe even temperature changes. And/or they might show up in our behaviors, either by things that we actually do, or perhaps that we have the impulse to do. All of the messages will help us to know what we need to navigate our emotions during this pandemic. Our emotions themselves now aren't the problem as much as we'd like to think that they are, but rather it's our unhealthy attempts to escape or get rid of our emotions that get us into trouble. Now more than ever, we need to be able to check in with our emotions and take care of ourselves. During this period of COVID, it's normal to feel afraid, anxious, overwhelmed, sadness, grief, and the list goes on and on. We are literally in the midst of a pandemic and our emotions are letting us know that. The trick is to have a way to turn the volume down on these emotions when you need to. Like if your emotions are getting in the way of you doing your job or being present with loved ones. And so that's where grounding comes into play. Grounding is a way to hit the pause button on your emotions so that you can return to what you need or what you want to be doing. So I'll give you an example. At the start of this pandemic and shelter in place, I had to work with my clinics to transition all of our in-person care into phone or video services. Our clinics have never done therapy like this before. I was so overwhelmed with this workload, all while being worried about my health, the health of my colleagues, my family's health, especially that of my son. I found myself in a meeting so worked up that while I was totally talking and typing during this meeting, I felt totally disconnected from my body. My sense of overwhelm had gotten so big, it was literally like my head was going to pop off. I had to practice grounding in this moment in order to reunite my mind and my body. So there's 3 different types of grounding. There's physical grounding, mental grounding, and soothing grounding. And unfortunately, there's no one size all that's gonna work for everybody. So you might have to try out a couple before you find one that works for you. The nice thing about grounding is that you don't need anything specific to do it. You can use your immediate surroundings and thoughts. So physical grounding is when you engage your physical senses like touch. The nice thing about physical grounding is you can use anything within reach. So let's try. So I'm gonna use my water bottle. So just go ahead and grab anything within reach. So a pencil, a pen, a pack of gum, whatever you have. And first, just go ahead and exhale all of the air that you have in your lungs. And then take a long, slow, deep breath in filling your stomach with air, and slowly exhale all of the air. Now shift your attention to the object in your hand. Just get a good sense of what it feels like. Is it rough? Is it smooth? Is it heavy or light? Does it make any sounds? Does it have any smells? Just really focusing on what the object feels like in your hands. And if there's any writing on the object, maybe just reading to yourself what it is that you see. So what was that like? So usually, people will notice that while focusing on the object in their hands, their mind and emotions shift their attention, resulting in a much needed break. This break can often help to turn down that volume or intensity on your emotions, which will help you to return to whatever it is you need or want to be doing. Now notice I didn't say grounding helps you to avoid your feelings. That's exactly what we don't want you to do right now. And in fact, avoiding your feelings will only make things worse in the long run. So you might remember that I mentioned that there's 3 different types of grounding. Unfortunately, we don't have time today to practice all 3 of them, but lucky for you, I'm a pretty fast talker, so we'll review how you can practice mental and soothing grounding. For mental grounding, think of creating a mental list. One easy way to do this is to start to name all of the objects in your eye view. Now for some folks, scanning their environment can make them more anxious. So if you notice that this is happening for you, just stop. Remember that there's no one approach that's going to work for everybody, and that's okay. So you can also make a mental list of all the animals you can name, or perhaps all the colors. Or do some math. Start with 100 and start subtracting 7 until you can't anymore. Or get creative. What is a thinking topic that helps to distract you? Lastly, you can practice soothing grounding. As with other forms of grounding, there's lots of different ways that you can do this. You can use some pleasantly smelling hand lotion and focus on the sensation of putting on the lotion, smelling the scent. You can make a list, if you're a foodie like me, of all of your favorite foods and really detailing out all the flavors. You can sing or listen to your favorite song or look at your favorite picture and describe what you see. Basically, do a quick activity that you find soothing. I know I covered a lot in a very short period of time, and unfortunately, this is all the time that we have for today. But I want to thank you so much for tuning in, and please, stay safe, stay healthy, and don't shy away from your emotions, and take breaks when you need to. Thank you so much.